Hey everybody, Josh Searson of World Alternative Media here, and we are in Paso Robles, California with the one and only Dan Dix of Press for Truth. And I figured us Canucks being down here, it's good timing for us to kind of talk about what's happening in Canada with the cannabis market. And as government, legalizes, quote unquote, it's not an end to prohibition, of course, as we know. It's become a massive monopoly. It's like the government is trying to completely take over the industry like they have with alcohol and tobacco, etc. And obviously the cannabis industry is an incredibly important industry for people with health issues, for people that want to get to sleep at night, and for people who just want to have fun and lay back and listen to some music, right? So Dan, I wanted to ask you a little bit about what do you think the motive of the Trudeau government was in legalizing cannabis?
Well, I think first and foremost it's probably profit driven. I think they see a market here that they can capitalize on and monopolize. But I think it's twofold. I think on top of the amount of money they seek to make, it's also about being in bed with big pharma, because we know that this plant does miracle wonders in the medicinal fields, and they know that this is a threat to their industries. So if they can control that by altering the genetics of the plant, by irradiating it and things of that nature, they'll be able to maintain a sick population with them just continuing to get high, which they are okay with. So I think it's twofold. I think it has to do with our health, and I think it has to do with monopolizing an industry so they can capitalize and cash in.
Well, and it seemed like it was one of the major issues that got Justin Trudeau elected in the first place was, nice hair and cannabis. And this is obviously a huge problem. Most of us can see that. But, I mean, I'm watching a lot of people that were in the cannabis industry suddenly turning into capitalists in this situation, because they're like, well, these raids are still happening. People are still getting arrested. It's basically the government took away your right and then gave it back at a price, and that price being extortion, regulations, taxes, etc. How do you think it's been affecting a lot of the small business, the mom and pop shops in the cannabis industry?
Well, it's been bad. A lot of people are realizing they've been bamboozled. It was a complete ruse. Trudeau was riding in on this ticket, knowing that this is what the Canadian people want. Meanwhile, once this actually is being implemented, the small mom and pops are starting to see, wait a minute, this isn't what we wanted at all. They're being completely pushed out of the market. So we're being told it's a free and fair open market. They even say in Ontario they're going to allow private businesses to operate. But what they don't tell you is those private businesses can't sell their own cannabis. It's still going to have to be the government-issued cannabis. So legalization, in a nutshell, is a Trojan horse of how to rope us into even more ridiculous laws, like the driving laws, all sorts of things that they wouldn't have been able to do without this law. So they're capitalizing on it, they're taking away the medicinal benefits, and they're going to use it to control us even more than we already were.
And we're seeing, even with alcohol, for example, you got massive cartels in Canada for alcohol, very government-oriented alcohol industry. And then you go down to the United States, for example, and you go and buy the same drink, and it's like half the price of in Canada. It's because government, they have no incentive to compete. So it's like, well, let's just raise the price dramatically. And we're seeing that in the cannabis industry. They're running out of cannabis in a lot of the stores really fast. And then at the same time, the price is going up because it's not free market anymore. It's government run. And one of the things that really stood out to me, Dan, was looking at the cannabis laws. Imagine, so you give a youth cannabis, it's like it can be up to 14 years in prison. Now, where do you draw the line? So what if someone's 17 and a half and you're 18 and you sell your friend, the 17 and a half year old friend, cannabis? Can you go to jail for up to 14 years? I mean, it's just, how is this in any way more free? Does it seem like freedom to you?